Thank you, Dominic. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 1 o'clock, but this panel discussion will be the last one between you and the lunch. But we will try to make it interesting so that you don't feel the pinch. So let me start by introducing my esteemed panelists. First, I would like to welcome Ms. Maitreyi Hosur. She is a crisis manager at Atlassian, where she plays a pivotal role in driving companies' global crisis response and business resilience strategies. She leads key initiatives in crisis planning, threat monitoring, policy development, cross-functional incident response systems. Her academic background in homeland security and forensic sciences, coupled with a strong interest in technology and cybersecurity, fuels her passion for building scalable, tech-driven solutions to strengthen organizational resilience. Welcome, Maitreyi. Pleasure to have you here. Next, I would like to call upon Captain Prashant Pillaiji, renowned risk and resilience leader, crisis management, physical security and loss prevention. He's passionate about AI, generative AI, agentic AI. He specializes in bridging machine learning models with physical security and loss prevention, so he's as good as anybody else, though he's from a military background to talk about it, no less than any technologists around here. He empowers organizations to leverage emerging technologies for dynamic and proactive risk management. Then we have Colonel Ravi Madhokji, Senior Director Asset Protection and Security at Flipkart Group, overseeing comprehensive risk management for Flipkart, Myntra, eCart, and all other group entities. With a lot of years of experience in the Indian Army as an infantry officer, he has led successful counter-terrorist operations and held key leadership positions in learning management also and loss prevention. He worked in loss prevention at Reliance Digital and Urban Ladder for many years before this stint. So as a certified leadership coach, he blends military values with strategic acumen and driving security excellence across organizations. So pleasure to have you, sir. Then we have Colonel Vineet Sethji, decorated veteran from the elite parachute regiment. He was awarded the Vishist Seva Medal for his exceptional contribution to improving the operational efficiencies of India's special forces. He is a visionary leader and entrepreneur driving the integration of technology, automation, and AI in the physical security industry. He has implemented end-to-end automation of control and reporting processes at VS4, which he founded, and enhancing efficiency and transparency. Great to have you here, sir. Then, last but not least, we have Colonel Alok Tiwari, National Head of Security and Loss Prevention, Audit and Compliance at Swiggy Instamart. An Army veteran of 30 years with 24 years in Army and 6 years in Civil Street. He is currently the Head of Safety, Loss Prevention, Security Audit and Compliance at Swiggy Instamart. He has vast experience in risk management, business continuity management, organizational resilience, safety and loss prevention. So it's a fantastic panel that we have here, and I think it will be enlightening to have a discussion with them and understand their take on how they see things are today and how it will be. So the backgrounds are also diverse, so I must compliment the people who put this panel together, because the backgrounds vary from IT to ride handling to logistics, e-commerce and quick commerce to banking and physical and cyber security. So great to have you here. So what we will try to do during this discussion is we will touch upon the current stage of AI implementations in security, the risks and challenges that these leaders are facing in their own organizations, in their own implementations, what they see as the future, the roadblocks and how they are trying to overcome those roadblocks in the future. We'll try to provide not only the industry insights, but also try to get some kind of crisp action items that we can take away and we can try to implement in our own organizations. That will be the endeavor for this panel discussion. So without much ado, let me start with Ms. Maitreyi. To get your take on how generative AI is enhancing the real-time intelligence, especially in the global security operations centers in a SOC environment, with situational awareness, how is it helping there? And what is the impact it's having currently that you see in the SOCs, and what practical challenges are you seeing?
Firstly, thank you so much for having here, and I think something that's very fascinating right now with evolving technology is how this technology is also in sync with the human mind. So thanks for asking for my perspectives on this. I come from a command center experience, and I have heard a lot about how AI is being used in CCTV surveillance. I would like to touch upon a bit more into how we have been using it in real-time intelligence again, which means for the world events. Every day we have a lot of vendors that we use, all the command centers, getting these real-time updates regarding various incidents. So one of the key, how the command centers, how it's been helpful for the command centers is reducing the noise to signal ratio. This is something that all the companies, especially the leadership looks, when they look at the command centers performance review, I think this is one of the big thing that comes up, is to how you're using so many tools and what is the noise to signal ratio. So this is where with Gen AI integrated, that has come down has come down to a lot of extent. Like for example, when there is an incident, it's no more that the analyst is sitting and skimming through thousands of alerts, but we know what exactly is the right alert out there. Like you have few of those alerts instead of just going through open source. Of course, you'll have to keep using that. The second thing is again around prioritization. Now with all the vendor tools have the capability, we upload our asset data. Now with the real-time alerts that's coming in, previously analysts had to go through to identify the distance between the asset and the impact where the incident had occurred. So now of late that has changed. So the severity rating is already assigned by the vendors when you sit and work with them. So this is where the time is saved for doing this manual work, rather than the analyst is going to be utilizing the time for actionable intelligence. Third thing would be again around audit and compliance. So this is where again generative AI is really coming into picture. So I was speaking to someone in the peer, in one of the peers in the industry, where they have plugged in generative AI for getting the law enforcement requests. So they get these law enforcement requests to get some data, and this is being plugged. So the Gen AI is identifying the request that is coming in and also extracting that information. So this manual work is eliminated. So a lot of manual work within the command center has been eliminated. It's also like it's no more now. The intelligence is faster within the command center. It is us who need, like, the challenge here is how to make it more wiser. So yeah, I mean that will be my take. That has been my experience in the whole of these command center experiences.
Yes, I think you've mentioned a few good points in terms of how it is helping in the SOCs with artificial intelligence. I think I'll take that step forward with Prashantji, because you have the background of ML and then implementing that in the physical industry. So what is it that it is able to do today versus what it cannot do today as of now? But how do you see the future panning, and where you think it will go?
Sure, Mr. Vamshi. So I think one of the examples we heard purely from a predictive risk intelligence perspective, what could be done, right? So I've seen, with whatever little experience I have, though the work has started a decade ago, I think, while we are building small language, SLMs, LLMs and all that, over a period of time it is building. And now we have reached a stage of agentic AI where we are talking about agentic AI, right? So we have used ML, so I'm sure in this entire audience there will be people with various backgrounds, and people might be there who are techies, non-techies like me, but interested in or trying to match to the present world. So we have used ML like 3 years back to kind of address one of the e-commerce solution, though it was like very initial step, right? So my point is, what I'm trying to say is, it's not that it just started this year or 5 months back, but we have kind of seen it kind of exploding it. Now everyone is going, like somebody was saying, attending certification courses, and I too have done, right? Though I'm a non-techie, because if you want to stay ahead of the curve, you will have to do it, right? Now, purely from, there would be students in this room, there would be analysts in this room, there would be CSOs in this room, there will be CTOs in this room, right? There will be purely from a vendor perspective, I mean, people are there. From a client perspective, we are there. So each one of us will have to kind of think or wear the hat, where in terms of we are serving a B2B environment, or we are into B2B, we are into B2C, or a B2B2C, whatever that is, or D2C, right? And then try to say, like, for example, how to graduate or what are our problems, because we all know that we have to, or the organization is kind of going towards adopting AI, agentic AI. Like, how can we equip our team? I'll be answering that, and while I'm answering it, you'll see those, right, gradually shaping up. The first thing is, like somebody earlier told, like 7 years back, or 10 years back, I would say e-commerce was just entering, 10 to 12. And we had very little expertise in our security guards to kind of match the pace which the business required. So I was one of those site security managers who joined e-commerce firm and then was trying to match up, right? So we used to train our security guards on Excel sheets, Excel formulas, because loss prevention was the key aspect, bread and butter for us, right? So same goes for this. What needs to change is that immediately we need to go back, say that, okay, how I can equip my team or better equip my team to stay relevant in the game. And that includes sending them for certification, right? What will change is Vamshi sir asked me about 3 to 5 years. So in the present world, I think, okay, we can think about 3 years, 5 years looks very, very far, but still I will try to answer that, right? Where I'm coming from, I'm throwing the ball a lot higher, just to raise the eyebrows. Few people, this is not a use case to raise eyebrows, right? For example, we might have our own personalized bots. Like while I'm attending the summit here, I have an important meeting or something which I need to address my team. I will have a customized, personalized bot, which will use the historic data, which how I have been taking decisions in the meetings, and all those terms and references or flags filters I will place there. And the bot with those experiences, obviously you have to train, somebody said that it's not one, you will have to train the bot, and then automatically at least 85% right solution I'll get. But while sitting here, I've been able to solve something, may not be that kind of an urgency, but still I was able to, and the team will wait for me when I'll come, because there comes the human intervention, right? Because you cannot trust it. So this is one use case. I was like thinking before what to speak, because I'm also non-techie. But I'm very interested in terms of how things will shape up in the future, right? Second use case, maybe I would say, whether it's corporate security, whether it is you are in a control room or your loss prevention, investigation plays a big part in our career / job roles. You will see because see, all the investigations, you have a workflow. It's a very logical flow. You are there, okay, yes, no, if yes, this, if no, there, right? And gradually you reach anyone with the logical can perform an investigation till the point where you actually require human emotional quotient, right? Where you know if he's looking right up, he's right, if he's looking left up, he's lying and all that, right? Even that could be trained by AI. Now, 80-85% of the investigation could be done by this bot, right? And then you'll see that, I'm sure in next 5 years, definitely with all the regulations, legal aspects and all that, we'll be able to reach there. And these are very particular for industries which are very high into investigations, e-commerce. I come from the e-commerce background, so please don't excuse me for the bias of e-commerce, but still, it's up to each one of us to wear those hats where we are and then kind to take it from there. Yeah. Third thing I would like, it's like you'll see a lot of explosion in integration of SOCs, OpsTech SOCs. You will see now OpsTech SOCs coming in, and there will be seamless integration of enterprise risk management, AI enabled, which is AI enabled, our traditional SOCs and the OpsTech SOCs, right? This will play a major role in terms of getting a well-integrated data using AI and kind of taking actions. Response remains a big question mark. I think we had this discussion earlier as well. Response remains a big, where your teams will have to, you'll have to encourage your teams to innovate. Now you have this, I have built, like non-techie person like I have built an app, right, using Firebase Studio. I mean, I just know that, okay, but I've built it using no-code AI platforms, right? Now, if the present, I think most of the organizations will have already those platforms which are internal to them. So there's a very minimal risk associated with that. And it is our team, our focus, our priority to encourage our team members to kind of have those innovation projects there and build and scale your kind of capabilities and all that. Sorry, I took little time.
No, I think that's good. You have touched upon a few points, and one of them that I probably relate with more is in terms of training. You know, whether it is training the bot, whether it is training an ML model. As seniors and people managers, you will know how important training is. It's not just about the bot or system, but if you fear that if somebody knows what I do or how I think or how I act, then they will take away my job. We know that that's the wrong way of thinking as leaders. We can't be present everywhere, and we need to ensure that we train people to take up our roles. That's our job as leaders. The leader's job is to ensure that there is somebody taking my role. Without that, I'm not a leader at all. I'm not a manager at all. So that's an important aspect, and that applies to AI also. We need to train it to be able to take our role, and that's what we are doing, I guess. Anyway, that's a larger discussion, but he threw the ball out, and then let's try to catch the ball from an e-commerce perspective with Raviji, basically. See, with AI, we are at a stage where you have to use AI, especially in your field, because you need to do a lot of personalization. You need to understand what customer preferences are, what delivery mechanisms they prefer, whatever, you know, delivery times they prefer, what kind of products they prefer. So you have to use AI versus the perpetrators will try to use the same AI technologies to affect your systems in a bad way. So how do you handle this kind of a paradoxical scenario today in the field?
Thanks, Patrick. Thank you, first of all, for having me over here. Now, any of you who's opened the Flipkart app or Amazon app or Myntra app for that matter, the moment you dive into the app, there's a lot of magic happening in the background. Just to set the context right, any typical e-commerce brand in India is selling about 15 to 20,000 categories of items on their app. And within each category, if you break it down to unique items, what we call SKUs, then we're talking about millions and millions of items in the range of about 10 to 20 million different kind of unique items are available in the catalog on any op. So obviously it is humanly impossible to home on to what exactly you want. The companies want to make it easier for you, and by observing your behavior on the app and possibly even off the app over a period of time, they would try and get a fair idea of what you would be interested in to buy, which would give us business, which would give us growth, and that is what personalization essentially is. Now we want to get it right, obviously, you know, so we will try and connect as much data points about you as possible.
Raviji, sorry to interject here. I'll take the liberty as being moderator to interrupt you. I cannot let the audience do it, but I will do it. See, you mentioned a good point saying that you capture data off the app also, and that's where the regulations and all will be required, what kind of data you capture. Maybe next question I'll ask some other panel based on this. Please carry on.
Sure. Again, to set the context there, like any typical mobile telephony operator in India would have about 10,000 data points about you. Any typical e-commerce player in India would have about 1,000 to 2,000 data points about you if you've been a reasonably consistent customer on that data app for a reasonably consistent length of time. With all of that data backing the AI algorithms, which will eventually prompt you to this particular thing or that particular thing, they will cross-connect the dots between Instagram and Facebook and Myntra and your mobile and this, that and the other, and will prompt, say for example, a yellow colored t-shirt that they think that you might buy. Now we want to get it right every time, each time with each of the millions of customers that visit our app or website every day. So it's very important to defend against, say, competition or bad actors who might want to disrupt that algorithm from coming out correctly every time. What needs to be done for that? Obviously, like I said, we have a lot of data points about you, and that essentially forms the baseline of the training data on which this entire engine works. And we want to make sure that that training data remains secure and correct. It remains true. To make sure that it remains true, you want to use AI to audit that training data itself, to make sure that there is no malicious script inserted inside, or there is no malicious code inserted inside. You also want to make sure that the metadata of each of the images, each of the catalog labels, etc. remains correct and is not corrupted over a period of time. You want to also keep a very, very close eye on how your model itself is behaving. Over a period of time, we've all seen AI to be reasonably predictable. In our workspaces, we instantly know an email that has been helped or nudged a little by AI. I want to take a moment to congratulate all of you and all of that. So we want to keep it that way. So we want to keep auditing if the model itself is drifting a bit from its known predictable behavior. We want to know if the model is showing a bias which is different from what it has been predicting recently. We want to bring in red teams. We want to bring in some amount of insider or ethical adversarial AI, if I may call it so, to test if we can fool the fraud engine. Most e-commerce companies have a very robust fraud engine. We call it trust and safety. I'm sure Amazon does the same too. To make sure that only genuine orders, genuine customers, genuine device IDs, genuine MAC IDs, genuine addresses are the ones that are placing orders. And any slips through that get redirected to a different workflow to make sure that we are making a genuine delivery or a return pickup. So we want to make sure that keeps working right. For that, you want to have a very robust red team which can keep testing, which can keep wargaming your own base data as well as the behavior of your model to make sure, because any slip-ups on the impersonalization or personalization engine understandably and obviously can be quite detrimental to the overall business. Somebody like me who loves motorcycles wouldn't want motorcycles coming on the feed of my wife, or want kitchenware coming on my own feed. Right, so you want to get that right. That's very important. So like I said, before this panel started, Vamsi told us that there is a lot of heavy stuff being talked about in this room. We must try and make it lighter. So I was a little amused about the composition of this panel itself. 4 army officers talking about AI. We're not really known for creating anything meaningful. We've been in the business of destruction all our lives. But stranger things have been known to happen. So here we are talking about how to defend businesses from AI itself. And if we understand just that little bit, I think it comes all into context.
Definitely, I think you made pretty good points there, and I'm just reminded that in terms of auditing your models and ensuring that at the beginning you handle it well and ensure that it does the right things is like how we try to do it with our kids also, right? Before teenage, we'll try to give them values, whatever, and after teenage, whether they will listen to us or not is different story altogether, but yeah, we'll take it offline. Now, Vinitji, basically, from a physical security perspective, I think there are a lot of people here in the audience from a physical security perspective. There is a lot of fear. First thing that we see when something is happening is fear comes to our mind. What will happen? Uncertainty creates that fear. We are not certain of what is going to happen. So this uncertainty is the main cause for this fear. And with the fear in the physical industry, the physical security industry, the biggest fear is is it going to take away jobs? Because especially in the Indian context, how we are and the availability of the workforce, etc., etc. So I'd like to get your take on this from your experience.
So being from the industry, I've tried to do my homework and tried to brainstorm myself. So we have to first ascertain what is the timeline and what is the predictability. So we are at a timeline now where we are at a testing phase with AI, with physical security. There is a testing phase going on. The second phase will come. This testing phase, we are actually testing systems. I mean, we are using bots for predictive analysis of what is the kind of manpower we are going to be losing. What is the manpower requirement in the holiday season? What are the requirements of the guards for uniforms? All that we are doing from the operational side. In this, we are using AI for predictive analysis so that we have a kind of a push model for management. And from the operational side, from the customer side, we are already integrating kind of, inputs from the sensors like patrols, like, cameras. They are already integrated into our systems, and we are doing some bit of that. But still, now for any technology to have an impact, it has to have two things. First is the credibility, and second is the economy. So how do we see coming it? And we have to prepare for it. In the security industry, we have to be prepared to meet this monster. So what we need to do is that, this is phase one. Phase two, I would say that over a period of time, this technology is going to start consolidating. There is going to be a credibility established with the technology. Phase three would be a breakout where this technology would, the AI, the Gen AI would actually become integral to the security guard. So it is something like this that a software engineer cannot work without a computer. Similarly, a security professional in the times to come will not be able to work without Gen AI and AI-driven surveillance devices. So that is the future. Now, what we need to do to keep ourselves, prepared for this. So we need to understand as to what AI will do and what AI will not do. And we have to, capitalize on our strengths. The first thing is that AI will not lay protocols for you. The protocols will have to be laid by the physical security specialist. That is one. Second is that AI will not think smartly. You have to, it will give you input, but the intuitive wisdom and judgment has to come from the human being. Thirdly is response. AI will give you the inputs, but the investigation, the detention, all that has to be done by a human being. And the fourth and the most important thing is interactions. Human interactions are very important for any policy implementation or any technology implementation. You have to have, if you want somebody to follow a security protocol, you have to have a conversation. You have to give your points of convincing. You have to have a human interaction. You have to be empathetic. You have to have moral ethics in it. You have to have an understanding. Emotional intelligence has to be handled. So all this, till the time the human being is doing, our jobs, I think, in the security industry are very, very safe. The only thing which will change is that from a blue-collar job, my guard is going to be a white-collared person. He is going to be not a guard anymore. Everybody will be a security officer. He will have to have those basic standards of, education, of training, and of communication skills. And of course, he has to be very, very tech savvy. That is what will change. Until the time the industry focuses on this, I don't think we are going to lose our game at all. Coming to training, I think I see in the future that probably a security guard will have to be given a training in the simulator, like he's going to get inputs from all sources, drones, from access control devices, from sensors, from here, there. He has to be absolutely, and maybe for all he might just have visor displays on this thing. That is the kind of security we will be witnessing in our lifetimes. I have got no doubt in that. So that kind of thing will have to have a training difference. So training probably might, like pilots get trained on simulators, maybe some kind of simulators will have to be implemented for security guards also to get trained. So that is my take on it. Thank you.
Great point, sir. I think what the takeaway for me is that we let the system, the computers or AI, whatever we call it, do what it is best at, which is basically the speed and the consistency. It doesn't get tired. It can process things faster. But we let the human do what we are best at, which is what you mentioned, ethics, empathy, interactions, human interactions. So that is where it is going to be. And as you said, it's going to be a fusion of both of them in the future SOCs that Maitri also spoke about. So I think let's move on with Alok ji. Basically, from your decorated legal background, I would like to touch upon the legal aspects of AI implementations. What comes to my mind is there is a guard, there is AI, there is alert coming up. Whether he sees or not, I don't know. Whether the alert came or not, also I don't know. But if incident happens, how do you pin the responsibilities? What kind of legalities are around it? Whether it is software, whether it is vendor, system integrator who implemented it, is the camera that is not functioning. There are so many aspects to it. Are there anything, is there anything going on around legal aspects for it?
Thanks, Vamsi, for bringing out my legal background. And this was a question I was least expecting. And but nonetheless, right from morning session onwards, we are witnessing a lot of information-related AI, how it is augmenting things, how generative AI is going to help us, and a lot of information overload is there in the system, and how this AI is shaping our future is all has to be guided, has to be streamlined into a process, into some SOPs, into some act governance model and all. So here, by the nature of this artificial intelligence, what the agents are doing is they are taking the information from the open source, and there the consumer is sending their information willingly on their own will. So that is where the catch is, wherein the accountability, setting of accountability on a particular generative AI or any engine or a company becomes that much more difficult. So in the Indian context, if I say, we have no such particular specific act or governance model to pin accountability for this AI. However, the accountability and responsibility as a legal professional, as you have already brought out, which I see are there distributed in various kind of act and governance model. So it all starts, if I see, from the Information Technology Act, this is 2000. Then it graduated to further in DPDP Act, which is Digital Personal Data Protection Act. And we have many cybersecurity guidelines. We have we talk of tort, that is civil, wrong, and we talk of criminal offense in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which has been recently changed from IPC. So those are the acts with us, but they are all in distributed kind of a scenario. So
Exactly,
so much like US, which has act called HIPAA, that is Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act, and also the GDPR in European Union. So these are the acts which are very specific and defines certain omission and commission of all those acts, and what will be the consequences if you do that. So in Indian context, we have got those things, but they are not specific to one particular law, but we have defined set of law. Here you talked about particular governance wherein a company has got a CCTV camera or an AI installed in a warehouse, for example, and there is an intrusion which has taken place. So now, how to put an accountability or a liability on a particular set of people? I cannot say that this security guard is responsible. I cannot say this vendor is responsible, or a company is responsible for that. So it has to be a vicarious kind of a responsibility or a liability. So if an intrusion has taken place, then we have to look into various factors. Why that intrusion has taken place? Did the alert go? If the alert has gone and security guard has not heeded to it, that means there is system is fine, the OEM developers are okay, integration has been fine. However, there is a lapse on the part of security guard. So hence, security guard can be made accountable, agency can be made accountable. However, there are certain, contract with them, that is called service level agreement. So those have to be in place. If this happens, then what are we going to do? So those service level agreement have to be in place. So those are the part of Indian Contract Act 1872. So those are the things which will help us eventually, this DPDP Act and the Contract Act, which will pin down the entire gamut of accountability and responsibility in the future. So that's what I see.
Perfect. I think you've mentioned great points. And from a technology perspective, because I come from the technology background, what we call it as an explainable AI, purely from an AI perspective, right? When AI is generating you an alarm, there is something called explainable AI. Initially, when you asked ChatGPT, before I think DeepSeek came, there was no explanation of what it was doing internally. It was just you're asking a question, it was dumping out some response, and you just relied on it. But later, I think DeepSeek was the first one that said, okay, this is the process I'm going through. You've asked me this question. I think I need to do this first and then do this first. So that's what is called the explainable AI. So it's trying to explain itself. And that's where all these legalities, whether you're trying to regulate it, will come from. Because you understand how it is going through, what it is processing in its mind, if it has a mind, what it is processing, how it is processing. So technology industry is also adopting that, but then obviously we'll have to work together from all the stakeholders, whether it is legality, regulators, technologists, everybody put together to make overall our world safer. I think that's a good point. I think we still have couple of minutes that I see. I think we wanted to ask more questions, but I guess if there is anything that I have not covered and you want to ask more, I'll let the audience ask some questions.
Thank you, moderator, for touching up the explainable AI, because I was going to ask underneath that you mentioned from blue collar to white collar, which means the security officer is better trained, which I hope it implies that also knows when to follow the SOP that the AI is telling and when to ignore. And do you think explainable AI, that means the SOP says that you have to do this for so and so reason, is that going to be the hint which allows that operator, human, to take that decision that this AI, this has to be ignored? Or do you think there's going to be something else which should be a part of that? Because you hopefully agree that not everything that the AI is going to tell the white collar security officer needs to be followed.
That's a very good question. We all feel that now our perceptions are being monitored by what is being fed to us by AI, which is going to happen in this world. Human perceptions are going to be monitored by technological outputs. This is a challenge which we are going to face. And that is where our value add comes, that we have to train our guards to have that intuitive wisdom over a period of time, over a period of training sessions, to say that what are false alerts, what are not false alerts, and what we need to do right, what we need to do which is ethically right, which is as per the processes it is right. That is where the value add of the human being will come.
Let's not be surprised to see in near future robot handlers. Like our guards will be the robot handlers in terms of.
No, we already have drone handlers. Yeah. And I went to my unit this time. I was surprised. They have these mules with weapons mounted on them. And what intrusion drills we were doing for room intervention and all that, they are actually, nobody's going inside. They just sent a small drone inside, which takes out a map. That drone information is fed to this mule. This mule starts moving inside with a weapon. And he goes inside and he starts shooting people. So it's already happening.
Hi, Gareth here from ANZ. So my assessment, and I have a question, right now we're always emphasizing that, there should be guardrails around AI and the human part should finally make a decision. But don't you see in the long run that, when in a competitive world, especially between organizations or between the threat actor and you have guardrails that will actually hinder you from actually competing with the threat or with your competition. And that's when, and if you really honestly look at AI, the intention is actually to replace a human being or even surpass his intelligence, right? So till what time can we actually manage or guard
Can I? So if you don't respect the guardrails or follow the guardrails, you should be ready to take up the risk of paying a huge fine. So I think we have recently seen a lot of, we were using the latest of chatbots, AI bots, but at the same time, the human intervention, maybe it was not to the level required, and the organization had to pay a huge amount of fine. So it's very quintessential in terms of us going back and see that, okay, it's very exciting to say or feel that we'll use AI in our functions, roles and try to improve our productivity. But at the same time, you should be very, very careful about, has it been discussed or signed off by our employees? Do they know that we are doing this? To what level we are doing this? Again, leading back to the question of regulation in terms of, how far we are controlling the PIIs in terms of anonymization or pseudonymization and then using it, right? So it's very important, but at the same time, like even now, say it's very easy, we can easily create an app in case I want to practice, say I'm going for an interview, I can just feed those questions and the bot can ask and I can practice it. But at the same time, if it is impacting, the AI is impacting our employees, our business, huge impact to the business, the client side, then obviously we'll have to, but maybe we'll take time and slowly, and till that time we'll have to use those asterisks and notes, say that, okay, like somebody mentioned in terms of conclusion, okay, right.
Yeah, I just add that, defining a protocol for AI is in our hands. So we have to decide where we want the AI to take over.
I think much of the conversation today has been around AI in the context of the business world. Apart from the business world, of course, in the world of education, AI has been making giant leaps. But there is a conversation that's not finding too much traction everywhere. It is about people pouring out their deepest, darkest secrets to AI. It's like a genie that's been let out of the bottle, and it's telling you that, hey, I'm here to answer all the questions that you always wanted to ask, but were too afraid to ask. And imagine how much the AI is getting to know about you through that. And if that data falls in the wrong hands of organizations or governments itself, then what it could be. So I'm talking about the social or socio-political or sociological impact, adverse impact of misuse of AI. That's something that really is begging for regulation before it gets too big to be even, to even attempt to regulate. As I was talking initially, even before the discussion started, regulation on AI will work only if it works at the global scale. And at the global scale itself, you will find some of the biggest governments, some of the biggest AI labs not buying in on regulation. There are already voices in the US, Elon Musk himself and Mark Zuckerberg himself, who don't want to rein in AI because they say that that would limit the true potential of AI. But then if you don't regulate AI, then its misuses are too often, and then true regulation will never happen. It will eventually end up in the gray zone. It's like the dark web turning out into the light and easily accessible to everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of regulation, like you said, there are places, things that you try to regulate, there are places where you let it go. Like even in the US, there is no consensus, especially, let's say, for example, as simple as facial recognition or number plate detection for vehicles. They say it violates my privacy. Why do you need to know, even if I'm driving on my street, why do you need to know where I'm going, when I'm going out? Maybe I go every day night at 9 o'clock. Why do you care? Why does the country or the state care? So there are some states that say okay for LPR. There are some states that said no to LPR. There is no uniformity, and it will take some time, as we learn to live with it, like in a marriage, right? You try to live with it, and then you say, okay, there are things good, there are things bad. How do you handle bad? How do you handle good? And how do you improve the good? So that's where I think overall it is. So any final question? I'll take one question, please.
May I, sir? So thanks a lot to the panelists, and I feel, Ravi sir, probably this is the best panel to deal with AI because AI was invented by the armed forces. I mean, it's on the lighter side because all our life we have been running after AI, BI, CI, and that defines our career within army. So I differ that AI was not invented. I mean, defense officers are the best people to deal with AI. Now, moving on to the real question, it's more of an...
filter the biases. No, as a technologist, I agree because even the network was ARPANET. That's where the defense brought it. So I agree. Okay, I'm good with it. I accept.
More than question, it's an effort to draw from the experience of the legendary panelists. My worry is with the onslaught of the AI everywhere, do you feel that man-guarding industry is dead? No. In maybe next 5 years, if not dead, is it in ICU? And two questions from that. That if yes, then what are your thoughts on the humanitarian crisis we are going to face with around 70 lakh people employed in this industry? And if not, then how do you project to our management as AI and tech leader? So over to the panel.
Yeah, so I have been through this, what you're talking, when there was an app called MyGate. So when this MyGate was implemented, Vijay, one of the founders, he's a close friend of mine, he came to me, he had some residential complexes where he says, Vineet, we want to change these guards, get your guards, because there are no guards who can handle MyGate. Today you tell me there will be hardly any society in Bangalore where MyGate is not in operation and a 15th, not even a 10th class pass is operating that, not even a 10th class pass. So these technologies will become so easy to use, they will become so user-friendly, and they will become so cheap that over a process of time, it will get integrated. Today, I see my guards, they might be 8th class pass, but they all know how to use the WhatsApp. We've got a complete system of grievances, which is a tool. And they can communicate on that. So it's a matter of time when the technological threshold becomes adaptable to the masses. Now, how it will happen, I gave you 3 stages, that this is a trial and error stage, then will be a stabilization stage, and then will be a breakout stage. By that stage, I'm sure an average guard will be able to handle this. Anything you want to add?
Hello?
Yeah, it will reduce the count. See, how it will reduce the count. Now you have got an integration. Gen AI is going to integrate your sensors. It's going to integrate your robotics. It's going to integrate your access systems. And it's going to integrate your, communications. These 4 things are going to get integrated into one app. Right now it's not happening. Right now they are all standalone apps. So these 4 things, when they get integrated into one, and on top of that there is an analytics, there is a, there are apps to have ambiguity tolerance, there are apps to have data interpretation. All that data will get filtered. It will come to a point where the decision is going to be extremely easy for the guard to make. It's going to concentrate the strength of the guards to a point of decision. So where you are employing 20 guards, probably you will have these sensors where inputs are coming to just 2 or 3 guards, and they will be the point where the decisions are going to take place, and they will be the reactionary power. So naturally the guards will change with technology. You will have lesser number of guards. There is no denying that. But these guards will be better paid, and they will be probably better, trained. And they will be force multipliers. Probably these 3 guards will be able to do much more than what your 20 guards or 40 guards are doing right now.
Exactly. I think that's the point. That's a good point, because that will give you the scalability that you can scale. You can take on more clients because of whatever. See, everybody is limited in whatever we can do, whether it is money, people that we can hire, whatever, are the customers that we can acquire. So there may be some limitations that you face in terms of how many customers you may acquire because of the limitations that you have. This enables you to cross that limit, and you can take on more clients. I have seen it in a couple of organizations that I work with purely from a data analytics perspective, where they are able to take on more clients because their time period is short. Let's say see a firm, for example. They are able to do with the 2 guys handle 5 clients instead of having 1 guy spend a lot of time, because it's time bound, right? Within a specific period you have to file the returns. So it gives you the scalability, and let's look at the positive side. And the reason why we need to look at the positive side is because we are in that stage, we are in that seat of leading our own organizations, our teams, etc., where we can't ignore the future. We have to see what's happening and then take on. And that's the reason precisely why you are all here, to see whether it is something that is still the passing cloud, or whether it is something that is going to rain and I have to take steps for it. And I think the consensus here from the panel is that it is there, it's going to rain, and we have to take steps, and we have to be prepared. With that, I think we will conclude the panel discussion. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for your insights, and thank you for the audience for your good questions. Thanks a lot.